What performance package?
Yes. We're going to put rocket thrusters on it.
For real?
Yes.
Sure. Where have I heard that before? Oh, right. Hey guys, I'm Stipe, and this is my list of the top 7 most promise-breaking cars ever. Let's go! Cybertruck. Let's go over those obviously ridiculous claims, first like having some rain-clearing lasers instead of wipers.
What the hell is even that?
Ooh, or how about those unbreakable windows?
Oh my God.
And my personal favorite, extremely good build quality with the shut lines so small that the car could float on water.
Liar!
Also, that body is not an exoskeleton. That would mean that the outside panels are part of the load-bearing structure. Instead, the Cybertruck uses unibody construction, like the Model Y, except dressed in stainless steel body panels. True, that made it bulletproof up to a certain caliber, but stainless also means corrosion-proof. And
it seems like it is actually prone to some small rust spots.
then there's the price, which doesn't start at $39,900. You can sit 5, not 6, and the best range falls short of the advertised 500. 400 is the max, and that's only with the extra battery pack, which eats away at your cargo space. Lastly, the whole pickup trucks have always been the same, so it's time we make a better one. Did that come true? Well, let's compare advertised to what we actually got, and a Ford F-150. 3,500 pounds of payload. Nope, 2,500. Ford, what you got? 6.5 foot bed length. Nope again, 6 foot, which is less than the Ford. 1,400 pounds of towing. Actually, 1,100 pounds. F-150? Yeah, this thing sucks as a truck too. There is, however, one area where Tesla did better than initially advertised. 0 to 60 takes just 2.6 seconds instead of 2.9. And thank God for that. The prayers of literally every truck buyer ever have been answered. Finally. The all-new Bugatti. Warning, the following critique is about the design only, nothing else. Now, with that being said, I don't know about you, but when I heard that the successor to the Bugatti Chiron would be all new from the ground up, I didn't expect to see a decade-old design updated with a few more modern but already seen details. Seriously, even a lumberjack can count on their fingers of one hand exactly how many elements are really new. The way the hood opens, the way the doors open, these ribs, and the exhaust integrated into the diffuser. Everything else, and I do mean everyone, was already seen in one way or another, starting from the front. The wider and taller horseshoe is from Mistral. These headlight wings are a Shinto thing, albeit from the other side, and the quad lamps are pure Chiron. Chirons are also these metal blades too, except that the angle at which they separate the top and the bottom is from the Super Sport. Vertical wiper? Noir. On the other side, the C shape is a mix of the Devo and Chiron, and the way the window line kicks up is taken off a Mistral. And as you can guess, the same kind of self-plagiarism is going on at the rear too. Honestly, I was disappointed. And judging by the number of L's in the chat during the live unveiling event, I wasn't the only one either. Look, Bugatti, you can't tease us with all these wild and brave designs on the limited editions, but when it comes to the most important new model in the past 20 years, then you're out of ideas? Don't get me wrong, the Tourbillon still looks good, but it doesn't look special, and definitely not all new. VW Blue Sport. Have you noticed how these days the Miata has no alternative? Not in the way that it's so good that nothing else even comes close, but in a way that it simply doesn't have any direct rivals at all. The Z4 is far more expensive and the GT86 is a coupe. But 15 years ago, VW, of all the people, was preparing to change that. This was it. An awesome-looking, chiseled, mid-engined, 4-cylinder roadster. 180 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It's a Miata from Germany. And Volkswagen was reassuring everyone that, yes, we really are making it. It will be based on the new, currently under development Mimo chassis. Mimo for middle motor. And you know what? I believed him. Not just because the Blue Sport concept that they had presented was already fully functional and even road legal, but because Volkswagen, from that time, had a record of delivering on even crazier ideas than just producing the small roadster. Remember Phaeton? How about the XL1? The resurrection of the Bugatti, Lamborghini, and Bentley. Compared to those, this Blue Sport is the furthest from being called BS. Plus, it wasn't going to be just the Volkswagen. Porsche and Audi were preparing to make their own versions of the car too, called the 551 and the R4. So, where are they? Kinda in the limbo. The car was never officially canceled, but the last time we heard anything about it was in 2015, and even then, they were like, yeah, we're still working on it. Right. TCMCC, Dale. During the oil crisis, an average American car was doing just 11 miles per gallon. Double digits, woo! So when this 20th century motor car company, very creative name, I know, when they claimed that they were working on a 70 mpg car, the public went like,
Shut up and take my money.
This car, called the Dale, was a three-wheeler with a motorcycle engine originally developed by Dale Clift. He wasn't really interested in turning it into a production car, but then this woman here was a larger-than-life Elizabeth Carmichael. Now, there is a whole 4-part HBO documentary if you're interested in every detail, but for the purpose of this video, just know Lizzo here lied her ass off about everything that was going on surrounding this car, including the, if you pay for it, you get it. Failing to do that will get you in trouble with the law, and despite independent investigations exposing the TCMCC as a scam, despite the government issuing a cease and desist, Lizzie just blamed everything on the big three. I know, I'll blame someone else. And the public believed her. They wanted this miracle car no matter what. The cover was finally blown once the police went to arrest Elizabeth.
FBI, open up!
Only to find that she had fled the state with all the money. But they did find something else. Wigs, padded bras, and a device to hide male genitalia. Turns out Elizabeth was a dude, previously accused of fraud with some vacuum cleaning business too. She, or he, was finally arrested some 19 years later in a town called, I shit you not, Dale, Texas. Meanwhile, 0 Dale cars were produced. Devil 16. When this car was first unveiled at the Dubai Auto Show way back in 2013, everyone just ridiculed it. Partly because the body looked like kids built their favorite GTA 5 car out of cardboard, but mostly because the performance numbers these kids claimed. 1.6 seconds to 60 with a rear-wheel drive only, 350 horsepower top speed, and a quad-turbo V16 developing 5,000 horsepower. Yeah, sure. But then this video surfaced online. What? The engine is real, and it's made by Steve Morris, who has a proven track record of producing insanely high-powered engines for drag racing. Soon there was even a new design that looked more promising, and another video of this car driving on its own power. Not exactly 0 to 60 in 1.6 and 5,000 horsepower kind of stuff, but look! The car is real! Bullshit! First things first, you can forget about 5K on the road. No gearbox in the world could sustain that amount. Even the dragsters just use a direct drive system with the clutch that must be rebuilt after each run. The same is true with the more sensible 3K version too, but then there's a 2,000 horsepower base model. They actually produced and sold one, but with a caveat, it had a much weaker V8 because that's what the buyer preferred.
The first production vehicle, so this customer actually wanted a V8.
Oh yeah, surely. It can't be because underneath this production devil is nothing but a modified C8 Corvette. Parts off the chassis are clearly C8, parts of the interior too. The key, and I bet this production V8 is also from a Corvette.
The very next production car after this one will have the V16.
It's been 2 years since then. Where's this V16 car, Blondie? Vector W8. Many years before the Devil, there was another equally overambitious car called the Vector W8. The difference is Vector did deliver the final product 22 times, and yes, it was properly tested by a number of journalists. But having the W8 featured in this video should tell you just how well it did in those tests. The whole 242 miles per hour back in the early 90s sounded too good to be true. And the same goes for the twin-turbo V8 boosted to an incredible figure of 1,200 horsepower. This was a startup company with a mere 30 employees and a budget of $3.50, attempting to pull off the same numbers it took a huge German conglomerate with an army of the best engineers billions to accomplish. And while some parts of the W8 were no doubt impressive, the whole thing was ruined by the constant overheating issues that it had and a 3-speed auto from the ancient Oldsmobile Tornado. Car and Driver magazine tested 3 different cars, and all 3 broke down. Even with the 625 horsepower tune, the cooling just couldn't keep the engine from going into a knock-knock mode. On the second one, the gearbox simply gave up, and on the third one, it outright refused to shift in the third, or reverse.
Fucking thing sucks!
There was also one in which Andrea Gozzi took delivery of before it burned down. As for the top speed, it was never tested, but the theoretical calculations based on the red line in the final gear says it should top out at 214. That's not 242. Now, before I reveal my number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Can you guess them? And at number 1, KDF Wagen. Before it was known as the VW Beetle, the Bug, this car went under a very different name, the Kraft durch Freude Wagen, or in a less world-dominating set of words, the Strength Through Joy car. A car Adolf envisioned would make the German nation more mobile, you know, to be able to travel further and maybe work in another city, which is good for the economy. It was a perfect people's car, affordable, practical, economical, and cleverly engineered by none other than Ferdinand Porsche. But there was still a problem. These were the 30s, and back then, even this cheap KDF Wagen was still too expensive for most to afford, so the Nazis came up with a plan. We have a plan! Each family interested in the car would get this savings booklet. You buy the KDF Wagen stamps, 5 marks a piece, fill out the booklet, well, fill out 5 of them, and if you buy just 1 stamp per week, in just a few years, you'll get your very own car. It's a cool and not too taxing way of financing a car, but in the end, it didn't work out quite as imagined. None of the families who participated in this payment through booklet scheme ever received their Wagen. Not because no one paid enough, but because all the money was simply rerouted to Hitler's military complex instead. Basically, the Nazis tricked their own people into unknowingly financing the death and utter destruction of Europe.
Are we the baddies?
Anyway, that's all I have to say about this topic. Go watch something else now, and I'll see you in the next one. Cut! The whole 242 I can't do it.